It's no secret that I've never been a big fan of Amazon. In my opinion, their prices aren't great, their business model encourages reckless overconsumption, they've monopolized the retail market and are known for driving small businesses to bankruptcy. They're rife with ethical issues surrounding the pay and the treatment of their employees and the way they do business with their independent sellers. They've admitted to using surveillance pricing tactics to price gouge customers, and Jeff Bezos is a giant douchebag. So for all those reasons and more, I'm not a Prime member, and I do my best to avoid shopping on Amazon whenever possible. But with all of that said, there is one area where Amazon does excel, and it's the one thing that I do end up buying from them in most cases, which is those weird little niche items that you can't really find elsewhere. Like this rubber keyboard cover that keeps my MacBook clean and protected. Or these stick-on carpet treads for the stairs that stop Levi from slipping and falling down. But despite my personal disdain for the company and its founder, Amazon is undeniably a behemoth in the retail sector. It's literally the biggest retailer in the world behind Walmart, which also sucks, by the way. But I guess that's to say that most people don't feel the way that I do about Amazon. Or even if they do, the allure of its selection and especially its convenience is enough to keep people hooked regardless. But in the last few years, Amazon has notably changed, and not for the better. As I said, for a long time, they've stood as a direct competitor to other big box retailers, places like Walmart, Best Buy, Toys R Us, Home Depot, PetSmart, but with the unique advantage of kind of being able to capture all of those stores' markets simultaneously, along with a bunch of other random items and knickknacks, all with the benefit of 2-day Prime shipping. And I mean, technically, I guess all of that is still sort of true, but more recently, Amazon has seemingly been niching down to focus primarily not on selling recognizable brand name goods that you could find at any other store, but to sell cheaply made, off-branded garbage products that you've never heard of before. Let me show you what I mean. If you search on Amazon for any product, let's just say, for example, an espresso machine, you will see the well-known brands like DeLonghi and Breville or Philips, but at least half the results are cheap knockoffs. Like this one from a company called AMZ Chef, or Casa Brew, or what the hell is a Gabbano espresso machine, or Olikes, I don't even know what the hell that's supposed to say.
Le Grill? What the hell is that?
But options aren't a bad thing, right? Isn't that kind of what makes Amazon great? The fact that their selection is so much bigger than all the brick and mortar stores? And I mean, the reviews on these machines look pretty good, which is what matters, right? So if you can find a less expensive version of whatever product you're looking for, and it's decent quality, then what's the problem? Well, actually, there are a few problems here. For starters, Amazon doesn't list their products in order of best to worst reviewed, nor most to least popular. In fact, if you look closely, you'll see that many of the top results say sponsored. Many people don't realize this, but in most cases, when you're ordering something from Amazon, you're not actually ordering something directly from Amazon. You're ordering from an independent seller who's paying Amazon exorbitant fees to list their product on their website. The sellers ship their inventory to Amazon to be stored in their warehouses and delivered by their drivers, but you're actually buying from that third-party seller who only gets paid when you place an order and who gets dinged when you make a return. That means that Amazon is technically just a drop shipper, which is why you'll often see identical products being listed under multiple different brand names and being offered at various different prices. And it also means that in order to get their products seen and sold, sellers need to have their products show up at the top of the search results. And Amazon, being the benevolent gods that they are, they allow sellers to pay for that privilege by sponsoring their listings. But even ranking as the very first search result wouldn't be helpful if the reviews on your product were bad, right? Well, the good news is that it's incredibly easy to buy fake reviews that help your product stand out. And many, if not most sellers, are doing just that.
Amazon makes billions of dollars by charging companies to appear in their fake search results. On average, the top 4 results are 25% more expensive than the best deal, and the best deal on average ranks 17th on the search page.
That means that as the consumer, you shell out your hard-earned money for a product that you expect to be good based on its high rankings and its good reviews, only to get it and realize that it's actually a cheap piece of shit. Where have we seen this before? Oh yeah. But Amazon wasn't always like this. They used to be regarded for their legitimacy and their selection, and especially their frictionless customer experience. But now, they're turning into just another cluttered dogshit marketplace, selling counterfeit dogshit products from China that aren't even worth as much as the box they're shipped in. And I'm far from the only one who's noticed this. So the question is, what happened and why? As we get into this video, we're going to be talking about sketchy business practices, overconsumption, spending habits, and how all of this affects you, because it absolutely does. I think it's so common for people to get stuck in these patterns of behavior that don't serve them and not even realize it. As the saying goes, old habits die hard, and often this can mean feeling stagnant, like you're not progressing in the way you want to be in life, be it with your money management, your personal routines, or especially your career. That feeling of being stuck is a lot more common than you may realize, and often what you need is just a strategy and someone to hold you accountable. Trust me, I've been there. Today's sponsor, Strawberry.me, is a personal coaching platform designed to help you gain clarity on what you want in life and build a plan to get you there. Their certified career coaches work one-on-one with you to help you identify your goals and come up with an actionable strategy to make them a reality, all while keeping you focused and accountable along the way. The truth is that time is going to pass just the same, whether or not you take action, and you don't want to be looking back in 6 months or a year from now and realize that you're no further ahead. So why not take the first step in the direction you actually want to go? Head over to strawberry.me/according to Nicole or click the link below to take a short quiz and get matched with a certified career coach today. About a year ago, I made a video called The Shitification of Everything, where I talked about planned obsolescence and why the quality of so many products seems to be diminishing. And well, many of you left comments on that video informing me that the term is actually inshitification and it's nothing new. It's something that's well documented. Here I was thinking that I made up a cool word. Inshitification is a phrase that was coined by an author and journalist named Cory Doctorow. He actually released a book with the same title earlier this year. Doctorow describes inshitification as a 3-step process where an online platform starts off by offering a high-value experience to their users, which helps them gain popularity and lock people into their ecosystem, only to then start abusing their users in favor of their business customers, and then to eventually start abusing their business customers as well. Why do they do this? All in effort to maximize profits by any means necessary, of course, even if that means turning their company into a giant pile of useless shit in the process. And that's exactly what happens. I talked about this entire process in a video that I put out recently called The Rise of Bait and Switch Marketing, but this is precisely what Amazon's done. From the outside perspective of just being like a normal consumer, one would assume that the degradation of the quality of Amazon's products and services would ultimately hurt their bottom line. You'd think that customers would get increasingly fed up and choose to shop elsewhere, right? But Amazon doesn't care, and here's why. Only about 39% of Amazon's revenue comes from online sales. And while that is still the largest single segment of their revenue, that means that they make more than 60% of their money from other things. Things like third-party seller fees, which make up 25% of their revenue, Amazon Web Services, which is their cloud computing platform and accounts for 17% of their revenue. Plus, of course, there are various other income streams like advertising services and Prime memberships. So, following the inshitification process to a T, Amazon began by offering what was honestly a fantastic value proposition to consumers. And then once everyone became reliant on them, they started to shift their focus to prioritizing their sellers over their buyers, realizing that collecting listing and advertisement fees from sellers is an easy way to generate revenue with or without actually selling products. And now that they've monopolized the whole world really and become the biggest online retailer in existence, they know 2 things to be true. Number 1 being that most customers are in way too deep to jump ship and will continue to tread shit-filled waters if that means that they get 2-day shipping and they get to watch Prime Video. And being the juggernaut that they are, small independent sellers have really no choice but to play their game, no matter how rigged it may be, if they want to make any sales at all. This means that Amazon will happily let sketchy sellers sell sketchy garbage, as long as they can continue to profit from them. And profit they do. Seemingly every year, Amazon increases their listing and fulfillment fees, leaving their sellers with less and less of the pie. As of 2023, sellers pay approximately 50% of their gross revenue to Amazon, up from 40% just 5 years prior. With such razor-thin margins to be had, sellers depend on volume in order to sustain their businesses, and the only way to get volume on Amazon is to pay for increased exposure via sponsored listings and or to load your products with thousands of glowing reviews, which, even if it is a good product, it takes a ton of sales volume to generate those reviews legitimately, right? And you can only get those sales if you rank highly in the search results, and you can only rank highly if you pay Amazon or have a ton of good reviews. We've just gone in a full circle here, haven't we? I guess that's why so many sellers buy fake reviews. And Amazon knows this is happening because honestly it's been happening for a long time, but they have no incentive to do anything about it because money. Then of course, there's also Amazon Basics, because as if having to compete with hundreds of thousands of other independent sellers wasn't hard enough, Amazon also has their own brand of products, which conveniently happen to rank as the first or second search result in nearly every category they're in. Dog poop bags, Amazon Basics is number 1. Light bulbs, Amazon Basics is number 1. Towels, Amazon Basics, surprise, is number 1. And once again, this is in no way an indication that these products are necessarily the best option available. They're just the ones that Amazon wants to point you towards because then they get to keep all the profits to themselves. Actually, I can tell you firsthand that I bought an Amazon Basics branded iPhone cable once, and it was an absolute turd. But it was the number 1 ranking option with thousands of 5-star reviews. Very convenient. But there's one more piece of this puzzle that I only briefly touched on before. For the last decade or two, Amazon has had very little competition. They've basically been untouchable. No other business has been able to come close to offering the selection they do with the speed and ease that they do. And that's still pretty much true. But a few years ago, one company popped up, which did give Amazon a run for its money. And believe it or not, that's Temu. Temu still can't really compete with the selection. I mean, you're definitely not going to find genuine brand name anything there. And they also can't compete with the shipping times, though they are getting faster. But they absolutely kick Amazon's ass in one category, and that's price. In the world we're currently living in, where hyperconsumption is the norm, there has been a noticeable shift in consumers' priorities when shopping. More and more, people are seemingly happy to accept a subpar product if the price is cheap enough, because they know that they can just easily replace it when inevitably it breaks after a few uses. I've talked about this in several videos in the past, so I won't go too deeply into the social or economic or environmental issues with this mentality, but the point is that platforms like Temu have in many ways skewed our perception of what things are supposed to cost and the level of quality that we should find acceptable when we shop. And so, over and above the fact that Amazon is complacent in actively allowing their store to be overrun with trash as long as they can continue to squeeze every possible dollar out of the sellers providing them with said trash, consumers are at least partially to blame for happily wasting their money and filling their homes with massive quantities of the cheapest, most disposable crap they can find. Amazon has reached the final stage of the enshittification process. They've lured everyone in and then turned hostile both on their retail and business customers, sacrificing all of them in the name of shareholder profits. And I think that that's the important takeaway here. These publicly traded tech giants don't exist to serve the public, and they don't exist to platform small businesses, nor to engage in productive commerce. They only exist to drive up their own stock prices in any way they can, even if that means running themselves into the ground in the process. And I think that's exactly what's happening here. We've seen this with Facebook, we've seen this with Instagram, we've seen this with Uber and Netflix and Airbnb and pretty much every other venture capital-backed tech startup that starts out great and then gradually nukes itself with greed. I won't tell you to never shop with Amazon. As I said, even I do sometimes. Unfortunately, I think it's unavoidable, but I certainly don't make them my first option, and I would encourage you not to either. Every time that I mention Amazon in one of my videos, someone likes to jump to the comments and point out that I have several Amazon affiliate links in the description of all my videos, like it's some sort of gotcha, but it's really not. The thing that Amazon does best is making products available to a global market. And with so many people asking things like what kind of camera I use or whatever else, the easiest thing I can do is link to an Amazon product. But let me make this very, very clear. I would much rather you go buy something locally. I'm not making bank off those links either way. I literally get a few pennies for each item that someone buys, so it's definitely no sweat off my back, but I'd much rather you check the link and figure out what you want and then go find it at an independent business in your neighborhood. Jeffrey Bezos does not need any more of your money, but small business owners sure do. Beyond all that, as always, I will just encourage you guys to shop less in general. As I said at the start of the video, I'm a firm believer that Amazon's business model encourages reckless overconsumption and impulse shopping. It's just too easy to find some thingamajig and then mindlessly order it in seconds. If you don't truly need something, don't buy it. Buying shit from Amazon is not a hobby, and it's not an effective cure for boredom or loneliness. Go walk your dog or something. Go to the shelter and volunteer if you don't have one. And if you are gonna buy something, from anywhere really, but especially from Amazon, opt for the best quality that you can reasonably afford. Especially when it comes to electronics. Avoid generic items with random, unknown brand names. These are generally just dropship products from Alibaba, and not only are you overpaying for them, but they're almost guaranteed to be garbage. Maybe this is an unfounded paranoia on my part, but I always worry those things are gonna spontaneously combust while plugged in and burn my house down. So yeah, for electronics, I always want something reputable. But hey, as always, this is just my 2 cents, and I would love to hear yours in the comment section below. Let me know if you've noticed Amazon getting worse over the last couple years. Has it changed how you shop with them? Have you found yourself shopping less, buying less things in general? Let me know. If you like this video, like the video, subscribe for more. You can follow me on Instagram at according_to_Nicole. Don't forget to check out strawberry.me at the link in the description box down below. You can also scan this QR code. Other than that, thank you guys so much as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next week.